Bam.
Stop.
You always know we're back. Every time you hear something break, we're back. Yep, we're back in our second hour of Born a Musician. I'm Captain Hook. I'm in St. Petersburg with Trish. Over in Tampa is John Seda. Hey, John.
Hey, we're here.
We're here. And Charles
And
Glenn.
I'm here.
And Trish. And there's the voice out
Where
there.
you, Trish? I haven't heard you, Trish.
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Okay, good. There you go.
You could check her out on singing on "Do You Want the Worm," and we got another one coming out soon. This the new track that we're doing called "The Scorpion."
I kind of didn't hear that. That sounded really funny.
Yeah.
No, I said, well, she just hit. It does sound funny because it is funny. "Do You Want the Worm" is a song we did about mezcal tequila, and Trish did some amazing vocals on that. We had a lot of fun, and we're getting ready to shoot the next video coming up.
Yeah, she's a real talent, I'll tell you. Boy, can she dance.
Well, thank you very much, Cap.
Yeah.
I'm actually starstruck right now with Charles.
Dancing. I like people to dance.
You're going to have to check her. You're going to have to check out that video.
Just send me a link of where I can get it, and I can see it. I want to see it.
Well, I hope you enjoy it, Charles.
Yeah, I'm having a bit of a technical difficulty here. If you guys would just help me out here for a second, I'm going to try to switch some things around.
Hold on a second. Somebody's here. Uh-oh. Somebody just came in the room.
Uh-oh.
Who's in the room? Hey, who? Oh, no, not Rasta
Is
Reggie.
that Rasta Reggie?
It's been a while. How you doing?
I've been good. Who am I speaking with?
It's Reggie, baby. You sound
What's up,
great.
Reggie, baby?
Hey, I was listening to one of your songs earlier. Ooh, you made me groove. I'm telling you now, my feet were moving.
Well, anyway.
What I'm trying to do, make you move your feet.
Hey, you got
Get
me
up out your
burning
seat.
some calories, baby. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something, Charles.
Yes.
I wanna ask you something, a little favor.
Okay, let me hear you.
Hey, can you sing a little?
Can I sing a little?
Can you give me a little tune?
I ain't giving you no tune right now. No, I'm feeling good right now.
Can you hit me with some letters?
King doesn't know what to think about Rasta Reggie, you know.
It's real when I'm here.
Okay, I'm gonna get you with I'm gonna get you with the
That's what I'm talking about, baby. I'm blind, but I could see when I hear some tunes.
All right. All right, we got to put Rasta Reggie back in the box, you know.
my man Ross Reg.
The one and only.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's right, baby.
So anyway, Charles.
Like I used to say back in the days when I thought I could rap a little bit, kicking it like a brother should, funky like I knew I would be. For me, the funky bass master.
Uh-oh.
Let him know, Charles. Let him know. Don't back down. Let him know. Whip him.
So Charlie, what was it like? Before we went to break, I wanted to ask you about Sammy Davis Jr. What was it like playing with Sammy?
Well, being around Sammy Davis, that was wow. I have to think of how I want to say this. Being around Sammy because, Mr. Davis, I had to call him that. So he didn't allow anyone to call him Sammy.
Wow.
Even Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and all these guys, they call each other Mr. Last Name. They wouldn't call each other by first name. And they would do that because they wanted everyone around them to make sure that they would call them Mr. So would nobody end up calling him Sam, or he didn't want guys, yo, Sammy, or what's up, Sam, boy, or my boy, Sam. He didn't want any of that.
Wow.
So he said, just call me Mr. Davis. And, but one thing about Mr. Davis, every night I would watch this guy do two-hour shows. So that's 4 hours of being on stage. And then he would take us all to his place, and he would cook for about 70 of us every night.
Wow.
Wow. Now that was
Every night.
was that in Vegas?
That's amazing.
Yes. No, well, actually, Tahoe and Reno.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we were on the
Now-
Tahoe and Reno. Harris.
What years was that in?
Oh, boy, you getting me with those years. That was
Yeah, I like kind of.
that was there with Billy, because that was Bill. We would open the show, and then Billy would come out, and then Billy would come out. We would do Billy's show, and then Sammy would come out and do his show. That was I'd say 85, 86.
Oh, okay.
85 to 87.
So you were doing both Sammy Davis Jr. and Billy Preston at the same time.
Yeah, because it was a whole package. We toured together.
Okay, and that was that part of like Sammy Davis's package?
That was Sammy Davis's big show. Yes.
Okay, cool, man.
And we went to all of the theaters and the rounds and all those places. Sammy did all the fabulous places, man. And
can you tell us a behind the scenes story about Sammy Davis? Just
okay, here's one. The guy when Sammy backstage, just being in the dressing room of a Sammy Davis Jr. concert is the most exciting, probably the most exciting dressing room I've ever been in my life. And I've been in a whole lot of a lot of really big people's dressing rooms. But in Sammy's dressing room, I knew the guy. His name was, what was his name? Bernard. Bernard was his name. Bernard was his valet. Bernard would set up every suit, every diamond bracelet and necklace and rings and all. It was almost like $1 million worth of stuff every night he would set up. It would be 500 suits, 30 black ones, 25 gray ones, all these, and then shoes would all be lined up to match. He would set this stuff up and break it down every night, even though we were playing in the same place. And Sammy was such a bad cat. He was such the man that he would have like these diamond cigarette holders. And I mean, every direction that he turned in, he could pick up a cigarette, a brand new cigarette. I mean, it don't matter where he was standing in that dressing room. If he was talking to someone and he needed a cigarette, all he had to do was turn either left or right, and it would be a cigarette in one of these, all these diamonds and stuff that was out. It was amazing to see, a guy, but he was such a humble guy to, be living like this. And like I say, here's a guy that had, we'd go to the room and he would have butlers and maids everywhere, but he'd cook all the food.
Wow. Wow.
Well, when you think about Sammy Davis and you think about Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, you're thinking about Vegas royalty.
Man, this is royalty, believe me.
Right.
Royalty.
And
royalty.
And you
really.
and you to have the opportunity to work with them. Well, you need to write a book. You really need to write a book.
I'm working on that. I talked to a publisher a couple of days ago, so I am getting ready to. She insisted that I do a book. So
wow.
I'm just talking about that right now.
We've been
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We've been interviewing some musicians, and some of them, some old ones, and some way back in the day, in the late 60s, 70s and stuff. And it's just amazing that these stories really need to be told before that generation fades away,
Yes, because I look at the new generation, and I'm really proud of the youngsters being able to have the success that they're able to have so fast. I think that's a good thing. So I'm not really down on that at all, and it's completely different from the way we were brought up and the way you had to really go through the trenches and to be able to make it. You couldn't just didn't just really write a song and, oh, well, you're the hottest artist in the country. You know, it didn't really happen like that.
Right.
Well,
back then, you really had to join something and build. You know, it kind of all happened like that.
right. It was.
But those guys, man, those guys were so motivated, man, and they would always work so hard. And when I watched Sammy on stage, everything that about him would be precision. I remember my friend was Sammy's hat guy. He had a guy that just put the Bojangles hat on the chair. That was his only job.
Wow.
Wow.
And
That's
I remember
amazing.
the night that Sammy turns around, and everything is like to perfection. So I mean, the light hits the hat, and the hat, Sammy spins around, and he's right at the hat, and the hat almost looks like it's moving by itself, It's kind of, Well, I remember the day Sammy turns around, the light hits the hat, and I see my friend running from the booth all the way up at the top. He forgot the hat.
Man, that's his only job.
Oh my
That's his only job. He forgot the hat.
Oh no! I guess he didn't. Did he have a job after that?
Actually, no, he lost his job.
Oh no.
Oh no! Well, when that's your only
Yeah,
job and
no,
you
you
can't
can't
handle.
do
Well, back in the day, because I have a cousin that worked for Dean Martin, and I said, "What did you do for him?" He said, "Absolutely nothing." I was part of his entourage for years. I guess he started out being a cameraman on the Dean Martin show, and then from then on, I went with him to Vegas and all that. And when the Dean Martin show ended, he just, these guys, when they like to travel with a group of people, they do. That's the way it was. When they came to town, it was like the president coming to town.
That's right. That's what I'm telling you, Sammy. I think 74 of us or something like that.
And boy, but I guess a lot of people do know this, but I'm going to remind our audience that Sammy Davis he got his start as a dancer, wasn't he? I mean, he was a hoof.
Yeah.
He was a hoofer. Yeah.
He was a tap dancer, actually, on the
Tap
streets.
dancer, amazing.
When he was a little boy.
Talking about 11-year-old success, 10, 9, 8. And I think he was like 3 or something when he was doing that.
He was actually 4. I saw old footage. He was 4 years old.
4 years old.
He was
Isn't that
outside.
amazing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you all of a sudden you think of Michael Jackson.
Yes.
When you think of that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Especially with Mr. Bojangles with the hat.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get back here to talking to the King C. And we got a piece of music here I want to play. Talk about this real quick. This one's called Cruisin'. We're going to play the first one we're going to play here.
Cruisin's from my new record that's going to be coming out here in July on Spectral Records. And the name of the CD is going to be called The Best of the Best. I took up all my stuff and I said, okay, I'm going to get the best of the stuff right here, and I'm going to put it together, and we're going to make a really great album. And I have a lot of good friends on the whole album. I got the DeBarge is on the album. They're friends of mine because, that was another group that Ozone was, the band of. And I have Tommy Organ, who is Michael Jackson's This Is It band guitarist.
Oh,
And
now is that
his brother, Tommy Organ, who's the drummer? He's playing on songs. And I got Paul Hines, the drummer from Tina Marie, Square Biz, Future Lovin', all of those hits. He's part of my record. And it's a great record. It's not really fun.
Now the lead guitar player you're talking about the blonde. I believe she's from Australia. Is that?
No, he's the guy.
Oh, okay.
The guy.
Okay, I'm thinking about the blonde chick that was in a.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Two of them.
She's phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, she was fantastic. But what is say again the guitar player's name again?
His name is Tommy Organ.
Tommy Organ. All right, here we go. We're going to listen to it right now. Awesome, man. That is so cool.
Yeah. Ooh,
I can
That's
see.
a gnarly bass.
Man.
That bass was slapping.
I do want to make one correction there. The lead guitar on that particular song was played by Kelvin Holly, who is the guitarist for Little Richard, and also the guitarist for I want to say her name. Please say her name. Peggy Young, Neil Young's wife.
Okay. Wow. Let me ask you a question real quick, because being a bass player, what kind of bass do you play? Is it 5-string?
Yes, I play 5-string. I have 5, 4, 6.
Right. And you know, I don't really like comparing artists to other, but you know what I heard there is Stanley Clarke kind of thing.
Stanley Clarke.
Yeah, well, I grew up on Stanley. That's my that was a mentor of mine. I love Stanley Clarke, and I actually got a chance to meet him a few times. And I remember when I first was promoting myself as the Bass King, and I run into Stanley, and I have my Bass King CD on me, and I'm like, can I give the guy that I learned from I'm the Bass King CD?
Wow.
So I freaked out. I called my friend. I said, hey, look, I'm standing in front of Stanley. I don't know whether to give him my CD or not. I'm a little embarrassed. And he said, man, give it to him. You're the Bass King, man. He wish you could do. I said, okay, here you go. And I guess he enjoyed it. He took it. So.
Wow.
I never got to ask him about it, but.
That's incredible. That is just incredible, that whole bass sound that you had. I knew it had to be a 5-string, because if you did a 4-string and like you put an octaver on it, something, you just couldn't really get that low growl.
Yes, that's a 5-string. It's a special made bass. It's my own personal special made sound there.
Wow. Well, for the Bass King, he should have his own bass guitar. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, can I fly out there and take some lessons? I'm telling you.
Yes, you can. Be glad to share it with you.
Man, I might take you up on that. I'm telling you. Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. You've got.
I love to play, man. That's just fun.
I I don't want to rush through your songs here, but there's one thing I do want to talk about before we go off the air here at 10 o'clock. The future of the music business, right now, I think I might even blow this bottom of the hour break. We got King C with us tonight. Hell with them. They don't pay me enough money to run their advertisement right. We got too much to do and too much to talk about.
Right.
You've seen the music business from the bottom, all the way through to top, from the 70s through being with records. I thought it interesting what you said before, that your new album's going to come out on Spectra Records. This is something that we're tossing around all the time, almost on every show, is trying to re-educate the youth coming up and the new talent, and even some of the old talent of a way to get their music out there. And what's your take on how the music business is right now? I see there's nothing but lawsuits going on against Sony for all these artists who are trying to get their money. I mean, it seems like every artist there is suing somebody to try to get their money.
It's kind of always been that. So being in it as long as I have, I think it's been that since the beginning. Since I've been in it until now. So it's a lot more money, and then with the social media, we hear a lot more stories about it.
Right.
We didn't get a chance to really complain about maybe not getting paid or any of that. I didn't. The night that I didn't get paid, I didn't get to go to my phone and say, "Hey, 5 million people, I didn't get paid tonight.
Right.
Record business is screwed up. What's going on? Sony owes me. Oh, guess what? I'm suing Sony today." Or you said you couldn't really do that. So it kind of, they were in charge and they could get to the media. We couldn't, and then it would look like everything was always okay.
Wow.
But I can think of many groups I've seen. You see them on the show, and then as soon as the show over, it's like a Cinderella story, and everything turns into a pumpkin. From the limo to a guy that's car won't start.
Right.
I've seen it. I've seen where guys never got their due for what they put out there.
Yeah,
a lot of people had a lot of really big records and didn't get very, very rich. You would think as many hits as anybody involved with the Temptations had, that they would have so much money that they would be,
Right. And some of these,
think about that.
And it depends on, I guess, who you signed with or whatever. But do you really think there is a value to signing with a big record company now? You see so many of these artists now going independent.
Yeah, independent. Today is a day that you can go independent. You got all the ways to sell your records now. And to me, if you can create your own fan base, and a lot of these guys are really good at making themselves interesting enough for people to latch on. If you really look at it the way I look at it, I say if you put yourself together a 10,000 person fan base, okay, which doesn't sound like a lot of people, and kind of really, after that, no one's going to really know who you are, but you got these 10,000 fans. Do you realize what you can do with 10,000 fans, especially the way we can write songs now, the way we can get songs to our fans? So you can have 10,000 fans and sell them new music every month, every week, every day, actually. We couldn't do that. Back in the days, we couldn't even think of releasing a record unless a Berry Gordy or Clive Davis or one of these guys was involved.
Right.
Getting out a record just wasn't going to happen. Now, at least you can get your record out and you can get it heard on music stations like what we are on right now, and other stations where, when I was coming up, there was only a few stations. You had the one station in Chicago, the one station in New York, the one station in LA, and and if you wasn't on those, you probably wasn't having any success.
Right. And it's the same in the radio business a little bit, because the internet has changed everything. We are worldwide. We have an audience worldwide, which you couldn't do.
Yes.
Your local radio stations,
right.
When you went on tour, you had to hit every radio station. Nowadays, you just come on WDVF radio and you got it covered, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And your studio out there, you have a studio. It's with King C Music, is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now what do you bring in new artists, I'm sure, and stuff, and what are you advising them on what direction to go as far as getting
well, one thing I find is that the artists have to realize that it takes time. It takes time, even though you might write a hit the first time you write a song, as far as what it sounds like. But in order to get it to be where you're trying to go, it takes time. And I have a lot of youngsters that want to quit. They quit very easily.
Yeah.
And quitting is not the way you make it in the music industry, because you never know. Something that you did today might not fly until 5 years from now. But that's just kind of weird this music industry is, because we don't never know what's going to catch.
That's right. That's right.
Well, John and I was talking about the kids actually performing. Some of these kids don't even want to perform their songs. No, they
don't.
They think they can get the song and put it on the radio, and they don't have to perform it. But they're missing out on the performing part.
Right, and that's the whole reason. I mean, in the day, and I've said this before on this show. It used to be you get an album out, then you go out on tour. Nowadays, the money they make the money on tour, not so much with the album anymore. Right.
Well, a lot of these artists really can't perform their songs.
Yeah,
that's why they don't. Because you got to realize, I have so many artists, and I'm not. I hate to say this because this is a little negative, but a lot of the artists are leave out of here. And when they come back and get their music, it doesn't sound the way it did when they left. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden they do sound like a singer, and and you still can't perform that,
right?
And they know it, and so when you can't really pull it off, you don't really want to just jump out there. Right. Now, see, we grew up where before you could even think about wanting to record. You had to be liked. You had to perform.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You had to already have that part down. That was like secondary performing.
Right. Yeah, and also you have great producers like John Seda and yourself that getting you through it. You guys can work a lot of magic and fix a lot of stuff that were a live performance. But to me, if you can't perform live, why bother?
Exactly.
Why bother? And that's kind of what I say. It's hard for me to encourage an artist that I know in front of my face that I know that they really can't go no farther than this record, because the record may be good, it might have written a good song, but the talent level is just not going to go any farther.
Right.
Unfortunately, because they just don't have enough talent for that.
Right.
If you're a comedian trying to tell jokes, if you don't have good jokes, you don't make people laugh, then you kind of have to get off the stage.
And it's also a lack of experience.
Hey, speaking of Sammy Davis, back when Sammy Davis was coming up, they take an umbrella hook and grab you by the neck and yank you off the stage.
Right.
That's right.
For sucking.
That's what's called giving them the hook. That's right.
Exactly. So today, I don't know if this is positive. This could be positive, because today, us as a fan base or listeners or watchers or viewers, we can tolerate bad. Bad is not bad anymore. Back when I was growing up, if you were awful, it would just be stop. Do not sing another note.
Right.
Get out.
Ever.
Showtime at the Apollo. The Sandman.
I think that's the problem though, because I remember when I grew up, I remember one time I had an experience where somebody, there was a bunch of jazz players, and I wasn't a jazz guy. I never was, right? And they chewed me up. But when I walked out of that room, I practiced every day. And one day I ran into him, and I go, "You remember me?" And they were like, "Oh my God, you're the guy, that I told you sucked at one time, And so I think that there's two sides to that. You got to knuckle up, you got to get tough, And what the problem with today's music, I think that happens is that they consider YouTube as a performance.
Yeah.
And it's not a performance. That's a make-believe thing. Right. Because you have,
Yeah, and it's not a live performance either, you know what I mean?
Right.
You just, you videotape it, and you put some music to it, your best music that you can, work out in a studio, and then, but can you reproduce it? That's the thing.
Before we go any further, because I know we're running out of time, Charles, I know this this is a really big part of your career. We haven't even got into this part, and I want to talk about your music. You know, for those who don't know, Charles has been the bass player for Little Richard for over 25 years. Mm-hmm. And,
yes.
you know, that's an amazing feat, you know, and he's, you know, and we both talked about this, and he's been incredibly loyal. And that's a really important music too, right, Charles? Is to be loyal, you know,
oh,
because,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah,
so,
that's the architect of rock and roll. That's I think the number 4 top entertainer in the history of entertainers.
Right.
So that is.
Now, is Little Richard still performing?
No, he's not performing. I won't say he's not going to perform again, because Richard's always full of surprises. He's just some big award show or something calling him up, and he has to get out there. But he has retired, and but he's doing well. He's in Nashville, Tennessee. And so if you're ever in Nashville, I'm telling you, you will see him, or people that's listening in Nashville. Just hit the streets downtown. You'll see Richard. He's out every day.
Wow.
And he rolls down his window at every light, and he waves at you and goes, hey, baby, what's up? Oh, boy.
I love Little Richard. Shut up.
Yeah, you talk about what a
Shut up, boy.
What
Shut
a
up.
talent. What a talent, you know. And I mean, you talk about longevity.
Oh, yeah.
He goes back before I was born. Even.
I was introduced to Little Richard by Billy Preston. When we came back from Amsterdam, Billy called me up and said, I want you to meet me at a recording studio. I want you to record on a record. And I get to the studio. I walk in, and the lights are really dim in the studio, and all I can see is this in the corner, just all of this sparkling from the shoe, from the toe, all the way to the headband. And it was like, oh my God, who is this? And Billy says, hey man, I want you to meet Little Richard. And I was like, wow, it's Little Richard. And so we were there to record the song from the movie Down and Out in Beverly Hills, which was the song Richard did in that movie called Great Gosh Almighty. And I started recording on this. Actually, he plays the song for us. And my first thought is, well, why did they have me come to the session? Because, I mean, there must have been 40 tracks of piano and organ. Him and Billy had put down the song, and while this song was rocking out of his mind. And so he said, yeah, I want to put some bass on this. And I said, okay. So I'm thinking, you know, this is Little Richard. I better put, you know, they're not, I'm a funk guy, and this is Little Richard, so let me make an adjustment here. And so I'll go in and I play, you know, rock and roll, right? I'm playing this. But when we get to the end of the song, I'm telling myself through this whole session, I'm saying, I got to show him what I really do, though. This is not how I play. He's got to see what I do. So I get towards the end of the song, and I start doing all of this other stuff. I start slapping. I start slap rocking, I call it, right? And so after the end of the song, he says to me, he says, oh, man. And he wasn't excited. He said, oh, man, you know, that stuff that you was doing on the end, and I was sitting there going, oh, my God, I'm in trouble. I messed up this man's song. He said, that stuff you did at the end, I want you to do me a favor. Engineer, roll the tape back. Man, I want you to start from the beginning, and I want you to play that all the way through as hard as you can play it, baby. And, man, I rocked on that song so hard, man. He just let me just blast through that song. And I've been with him ever since.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Now, what's really cool about this story is that Richard was friends with my parents from Nashville.
Wow.
And that's not how we met, though. Us meeting had nothing to do with that.
Well, it's a small world, isn't it?
Yes,
it is.
Now, before we run out of time, I want to get another song in here of yours. Gigoletti. Tell me about it.
Gigolette was a song that Tina Marie produced on Ozone. That was one of our Motown hits. And Tina Marie was the producer, and she's also on the song. She does the very first scream on the song. You hear the beginning of the song. She screamed on our song before she did her own. So
okay, well, let's hear it. Here we go. Excellent. Excellent. Boy, it's so catchy. We're over here chogying around and
Yeah,
dancing
we was
around.
jamming to that bass.
Me
Dum,
too.
dum, 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 dum.
And let me tell you, my bass guitar is sitting over here. It's a good thing I don't own a chainsaw because I would just chop it up and never play again.
Yeah, you was killing that bass, man. Boom, 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 boom.
Wow.
So what was it like working with Miss Tina Marie? I love Tina.
Oh, Tina,
Yeah.
that's my buddy. You know, Tina was actually sent to our house. She was supposed to be our lead singer. So,
Wow.
and then what happened is she was sent there for all of us to write a song together, and we came up with the song Behind the Groove. And by the time we got to the studio, it was Tina's album.
Wow. I tell you. Well, when I was a little girl in the 70s, the first song I heard from Tina was Ooh La La. And
Yes.
Ooh La La La. And
Yes,
we actually thought that Tina was a black woman
I always did.
Yeah.
because there was no videos. I haven't seen her on Soul Train yet. And then one day I saw
Right.
her on Soul Train. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Tina
Blown away,
Marie.
huh?
It was 78. I was about 12 years old in 78. And I saw her on Soul Train. And I was amazed. I couldn't believe this voice was coming out, this little white woman.
That's right. Well, you know what? That shows how smart Mr. Gordy was, and he knew that.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that's what he had. He knew that's what he was selling.
Yeah.
And putting her with Rick James was really good because Rick had a rock edge to him, and so Rick had a white audience also.
Yes, he did.
So it was perfect. It was the, they always did connect people perfectly like that.
Yeah.
They would put people together like they put us with them, and they put Michael Jackson with Diana Ross. Jackson's with Diana Ross because she was really hot, and they always did it like that. It was a family, so it was like these people kind of took you on as like they're older. They were older than us, so they kind of took us on like parents anyway. So,
and John knows. John knows that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
That's it. John, what do you got?
Well, I'm glad he's talking a lot. This is good because everything is coming out, all this great information. I also want to mention, if you go to bornmusician.com, you see Charles, his picture is one of the first ones that shows up there with this, incredible picture. Who was the guy who took the picture for that, Charles? The one with the streaking lights coming out of it.
Oh, on my on the bassking.com.
Yeah, but there was one that I put on the webpage, bornmusician.com. That was like the one you're in a suit and there's like all these flares coming out of the lights. And they put a shout out to the photographer because that was a great picture. But,
it was. I'm not sure what the photographer was. Did I have an instrument in my hand?
Yeah, you were playing live. You were singing on the microphone.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was a live shot. Yeah, that was one of those Associated Press pictures.
Oh, cool, very cool.
Well,
yeah, it was really good. Yeah, that's a great shot.
Well, Charles, we know that you got an album coming out. Will you come back on with us in July after your album's released?
Yes, I will. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'll be glad to. This was really fun. And I want to tell all the people you can keep up with me. I have a Twitter. It's at King's Jam. At King's Jam. That's my Twitter handle. And Facebook, I'm just Charles Glenn. And you can catch me on Facebook. And, hey, my website is thebassking.com. Bassking.com. Check me out. Keep up with me, and I will... promise I will always put out good music for y'all and keep it fun and funky.
I hope so.
Well, Charles, you've been to the studio a bunch of times, so Charles is going to come down at one point or another so we can record more stuff. But I wanted to get you and Trish together, and that's going to be in the future, and I know that will happen.
I just heard Trish doing some singing over there. That sounded good.
Yeah, too. I'm very excited. I can't wait to work with you, Charles.
Yeah.
Oh, she's awesome. She's incredible.
I can hear that. I hear it right away.
Thank you.
She's a Michael. How would I call that?
Well, I've been listening to Michael Jackson since I was 4 years old. I've been emulating him for years and years and years.
That's my favorite of time. In my show, I do a whole thing on Michael because I got a chance when I was 17. I did get to meet Michael. We were
Oh my gosh.
we were at my first Hollywood party was Stevie Wonder's birthday party.
Wow.
And then Michael wasn't old enough to actually be in the party
Wow.
because he had to be 21. And I think we were 18 at the time. I think
my
17,
goodness.
18, something like that. And we were the same age, and we couldn't go in the party. And so we were sitting up in the party. The club had two stories. There's a club called the TGIF, Thank God It's Friday. That was back when they had Thank God It's Friday movie and all that. That came from that club. This was a big club. And we, real quickly, we were sitting up there, and I was like, wow, that's Michael Jackson, you know? And I tried to go over and speak to him, and I'm telling you, he was like, he didn't move. It was almost like it wasn't even a real person.
Wow.
So I kind of got a little freaked out, a little scared. So I really never said anything. It's like I kept trying to, but it never would happen, right?
I love Michael
And
Jackson.
It's funny because I tell this story on my show, and I came off the stage on my last show that I did, and the promoter looked at me and he said, "Man, you don't know how glad I am to hear you tell that story." I said, "Why?" He said, "Man, because it happened to me too, exactly the same thing." And he said, "I'm scared to tell people because I don't want them to think I'm crazy." I said, "Yeah, weird, wasn't it?" He's like, "Yeah, man, it's like I couldn't even get to him. It's like something kept making me go away." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, no, Michael was a bad boy."
Wow. Yes,
Yeah, he was. He was a superstar.
Greatly missed.
Because the definition of superstar would have his name in it.
And unfortunately, I think he's become more popular since his passing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, boy. Yes.
You know, he was.
I knew that was going to last forever.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know,
That's incredible.
it's like Elvis almost. And it's, you know,
Yes.
he was having all that financial problems. And lo and behold, he passed. And now look at how much money is coming in. And the people,
Yep.
and you can imagine.
It's out of control.
Yeah, it really is. What do you got coming up that you want to plug? You got any engagements coming up?
I'm just working on trying to get this CD out, and my CD is going to probably be enhanced. I'm working on it being enhanced because I want to put my live video show on it. So we are working on that. We're waiting on some information on that right now. And we are going to try to do an enhanced CD where you can take my CD and put it in your computer and you can watch my show.
Oh,
Nice.
boy. We'll be looking forward to that. Charles, thank you so much. We're about out of here. Charles.
All right. Thank you so much.
King C.
I
Thank you,
really
Charles.
appreciate it, Captain Hook and Trish.
Thank you.
This is awesome, John, my man. And hey, let's not forget Born Again, Born a Musician is a real thing, y'all.
That's right.
John's got a really nice program going with that, and you guys should really look into that. I think it's bornamusician.com. Is that right, John?
That's it.
Correct. That's correct.
All right, guys, we're out of here. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Charles.
Okay. All right.